The story of Charles Ramsey and the miracle in Cleveland was one of the biggest news stories and one of the biggest viral sensations that came out of the 2010s decade. If you're anything like me, you remember vividly watching this interview with this unlikely hero character, Charles Ramsey. Now, as the story goes, this interview that Charles Ramsey would do would end up being remixed into this insanely viral song called Dead Giveaway. But let's not get ahead of ourselves here. I want to tell the full Charles Ramsey and Dead Giveaway story and also delve into what happened to the guy after the instant fame. So I'm sure many of you are asking, whatever happened to Charles Ramsey? Let's get into the full story. And be warned, the beginning of this story is definitely some pretty tragic stuff. Within a span of 2 years from 2002 to 2004, Cleveland man Ariel Castro was responsible for the kidnapping of 3 young girls. Michelle Knight was the first to be kidnapped in August of 2002. She was 21 at the time. The second victim would be Amanda Berry on April 21st of 2003, only a day before her 17th birthday. And Gina DeJesus, the youngest to be kidnapped, was abducted by Castro on April of 2004. She was only 14 at the time. Despite rigorous searches and investigation, authorities were never able to track down the whereabouts of the missing girls, and there weren't any solid suspects in the case. After years and years passed, the case eventually went cold, and both police and Cleveland citizens assumed the girls had been kidnapped and murdered. But this wasn't the case at all. Ariel Castro still resided in his Cleveland home at 2207 Seymour Avenue, the residence he'd been living in since 1996. Essentially treating the girls as his slaves, Castro made an upstairs room as the quarters for the kidnapped girls and kept it locked with no way for them to exit, unless by his own accord. Castro had kept the girls as prisoner, and for nearly a decade he had been subjecting them to unspeakable sexual abuses. Michelle Knight was impregnated 5 times by Castro and had induced miscarriage. These miscarriages were induced by him beating her in the abdomen with a weightlifting dumbbell. Amanda Berry was also impregnated by Castro and actually had a successful pregnancy, giving birth to a baby girl, which Castro allowed her to keep, and he actually raised it as his own child, as like a weird twisted family. After the child was born, Castro gave extra privileges to Amanda Berry, including access to certain rooms of the house other girls were forbidden to go in. Castro wanted Berry to have access to the other facilities of the house in order to care for their newborn child. Granting these privileges turned out to be a major oversight on Castro's part and would ultimately allow a series of events to unfold which would involve an intervention by some of the neighborhood's citizens. One of those citizens, the unlikely hero and star of this video, Cleveland native Charles Ramsey. On the afternoon of May 6, 2013, Charles Ramsey had just returned from the local McDonald's and was inside his home eating a Big Mac when he was disturbed by loud banging sounds and the scream of a woman. Half of a Big Mac in hand, he ran out of his front door to see what was going on. The sound seemed to be coming from his neighbor's house, and that neighbor was Ariel Castro. Ariel Castro, who had left his home to go get McDonald's, had failed to secure the main lock on his front door, and this allowed Amanda Berry to partly open the door, which was still locked by a chain, and she was able to call out for help. Charles Ramsey and other Seymour Avenue residents rushed to the front door of Castro's house to speak with the frantic girl. When Ramsey and company get to the door to see what's wrong with her, before they could say anything, she screams out, "Call 911, my name is Amanda Berry." Quickly realizing this was one of the kidnapped women who had been missing for nearly 10 years, Ramsey called police and helped break open the front door to free the girl. Police and news media would rush to the scene, and the 3 girls who had been kidnapped a decade earlier were finally freed. Castro was caught and would end up serving multiple life sentences. Cleveland 5 News, an ABC affiliate, shortly after would capture this legendary interview, which would go on to make Charles Ramsey a celebrity overnight.
Walk me through again what happened this afternoon. You heard screaming.
Heard screaming. I meet my McDonald's. I come outside. I see this girl going nuts, trying to get out of her house. We kick the bottom, and she comes out with the little girl, and she says, "Call 911." My name was Amanda Berry. When she told me it didn't register, calling the 911 for Amanda Berry, I thought this girl was dead. You know what I mean? That girl Amanda told the police, I ain't just the only ones. It's some more girls up in that house. I've been here a year.
Okay.
You see where I'm coming from?
Right.
I barbecue with this dude. We eat ribs and whatnot and listen to salsa music. You see where I'm coming from?
Yeah. And you had no indication that there was anything
Bro, not a clue that girl was in that house or anybody else was in there against their will.
What was the reaction on the girls' faces? I can't imagine to see the sunlight, to be around
Bro,
people.
I knew something was wrong when a little pretty white girl ran into a black man's arms. Something is wrong here. Dead giveaway. Dead giveaway.
Charles, thank you very much.
Dead giveaway.
Thank you very much for your time. And
either she homeless or she got problems. That's the only reason why she run to a black man.
So the rescuing of these 3 girls, the cracking of a cold case 10 years going, this was the biggest news story of that year so far. And the fact that you have the charismatic roller coaster of an interview with Charles Ramsey that paints him as this unlikely hero archetype, it just makes the story even that much better. Within 24 hours, the interview with Charles Ramsey on the ABC Cleveland YouTube page had over 100,000 views. And not only was this video popular on YouTube at the time, this was on mainstream news networks, Fox News, CNN, MSNBC. Your boy Ramsey was getting plenty of airtime. He had become an overnight hero. This guy was a legend walking. Now, of course, you're going to get your spotlight for being a hero, you know, in the eyes of the mainstream media and stuff like that. But what about Charles Ramsey and his ascension to memehood? Charles Ramsey would take his level of recognizability from here to fucking way up here after his interview was used in a remix song parody by schmoyoho. God, I've never been able to say their name right. It's schmoyoho, I believe.
Well, obviously we have a rapist in Lincoln Park. He's climbing in your windows, he's snatching your people up, trying to rape them. So y'all need to hide your kids, hide your wife, hide your kids, hide your wife, hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husband, because they're raping everybody out here.
Now, if you were around on YouTube in the early 2010s, you know, 2011, 2012, 2013, you're familiar with these guys. Schmoyoho had made it their bread and butter to take these sort of off-color news interviews found on CNN and stuff like that and make parodies out of them by auto-tuning some of the dialogue and making some pretty solid tracks. Like, not only did they take interviews from news, they would take viral YouTube videos like the Gingers Do Have Souls guy making this banger song right here.
It pisses me off. It pisses me off. I'm getting sick and tired of everyone making fun of red-haired people. What is so freaking different? Tell me, tell me.
But yeah, the Schmoyoho guys did a remix of Charles Ramsey's interview focusing on this chorus part where they used him saying, you know, a pretty little white girl running to a black man's arms, dead giveaway.
I'm talking with Charles Ramsey. He's a neighbor. Walk me through again what happened this afternoon.
I knew something was wrong when a little pretty white girl ran into a black man's arms. Dead giveaway. Dead giveaway. My neighbor got big testicles cause we see this dude every day. We eat ribs with this dude. But we didn't have a clue that that girl was in that house. She said, please help me get out. Dead giveaway. 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 My neighbor got big testicles cause we see this dude every day.
Now, Schmoyoho had their work cut out for him because they released this remix not only 24 hours after the actual interview with Ramsey and ABC came out. This Schmoyoho remix, God, I cannot say that. It came out on May 7th, like in the late evening. So dropped on May 7th, after 24 hours, this Schmoyoho remix had 400,000 views. After 3 days, 6.5 million views. After a week, almost 12 million views. This dead giveaway Charles Ramsey Schmoyoho song remix went viral in a way that very few videos go viral. I mean, this is like classic textbook viral video right here. And for 2013 numbers, this is pretty fucking impressive. Like, this was an unseen multiplication. Jesus Christ. This was an unseen level of virility. Well, I don't know if that's the word. I don't know if virility is the right word, but you know what I'm trying to say. Maybe it's virulence. So after the massive explosion of the Schmoyoho Dead Giveaway song, kids in high school around the country were sharing it with their friends, people at work were sharing it with co-workers. This guy was just a household name at this point. And you could imagine the week after this, the month after this, Charles Ramsey was being bombarded by anyone who could get their hands on a mic and video camera for an interview.
You've really become a phenomenon all across the country in the last 48 hours. I'm sure you've seen some of all the craziness going out all across the web, including that auto-tune of your original interview. How does that feel to you right now?
If people are happy, there is no feeling. You do what you got to do.
And you did what you had to do at the right moment. Charles Ramsey, thanks very much.
And he had some pretty big interviews at this time. Like, he had an interview with Anderson Cooper, which was really candid and just down to earth and showed who he was as a person, as this really laid back, everyman type of guy.
So you moved in about a year ago.
Yeah.
You'd seen Ariel Castro around, right?
When I moved there, only because he was my neighbor.
Right.
You know what I mean?
What was he like?
Cool. He wasn't no freak of nature. He was like me and you, because he talked about the same thing you talk about. Right. He talked about you know what I mean? You know, regular stuff, bro.
But after months passed from the day of the rescue, Charles Ramsey would begin to show up in less and less interviews, and he kind of just fizzled away from the mainstream consciousness, as many people who get overnight celebrity tend to do. So this leaves many people who were interested in the story kind of wondering, what's he up to now, or like, how is his life after the fame? Well, the first nugget of information I came across was still in the month of May, posted on the 23rd on Daily Mail. A couple of questions were asked to Charles Ramsey about his current condition financially that were pretty interesting to me. Ramsey admits to Daily Mail that he was currently broke, and he had been fired from his job due to people coming up to shake his hand at work and thank him for what he did. They got fired because they considered this a business disturbance at his dishwashing job. He also claimed he was guilted into moving out of his Seymour Avenue house because other residents that took part in the rescue of the 3 girls claimed that Ramsey had vastly over-exaggerated his role in the rescue of the 3 girls. They claim that Ramsey took all of the glory for himself and was just lucky that he got the interview with ABC. Which is an interesting nugget of information to sort of ponder upon, because none of us really were there. Charles Ramsey just delivered a really charismatic interview, and we know from the story that multiple people did respond to Amanda Berry's cries for help at the door. So I don't want to make any assumptions or leap to any conclusions. But what if Ramsey really didn't have that much to do with the actual rescue? He was just in the right place at the right time. Who's to say though? You can't really take away that interview though, that's for damn sure. However, in the Daily Mail article, he does admit times weren't that bad. He said he had received close to $50,000 from public speaking deals. He also got a year's worth of food from McDonald's for free, which is pretty cool. And there are some articles out there that claim he gave a lot of this food to homeless people, which, you know, I guess that's cool too. But really, a year's worth of food from McDonald's, is that all you could do? Like, McDonald's, you should give this guy free food for life and a spokesman's deal. Replace the da-da-da-da-da in your slogan, logo, jingle thing, and replace it with dead giveaway, you know, or something. Jesus. Also, it's funny to note how much McDonald's plays a role in this story. It's ironic that Ariel Castro was leaving to get McDonald's and he was busted by a guy who just got McDonald's. There were also detractors quick to pull up Charles Ramsey's criminal history. He has had previous charges of some domestic violence charges. According to his ex-wife, there was a time where they got in an altercation and she claimed Ramsey was about to kill her. Hey, nobody's perfect. I mean, it is fucked up to take someone's glory away by bringing up their criminal history. I mean, I don't support domestic abuse and violence, but that is kind of shady to just sort of rain on someone's parade by pulling up some completely unrelated charge or criminal history. People do that a lot nowadays. There was also this non-flattering video that surfaced of some guy sort of heckling Ramsey in a McDonald's, videotaping him saying, "Oh, you're the hero who rescued all them people, huh? Blah, blah, blah." Ramsey says he'll sue the guy, and then at the end of the video, he's like, "I know some Latino dude that could get you killed," basically. Here's that clip. Not the most flattering face of Ramsey.
That is a celebrity now.
And I knew you were a cop before you could even say it with your face.
So what brings you and I?
Well, what?
When did you and I run into one?
We never. I was a crack dealer that actually got away with selling it.
Right, brother. You know you've been on camera
Wow.
now.
You never catch me. I was
No, well, you know, it ain't about that. You know, eventually you either stop or...
Be rich as hell like I am now? Yes.
That's right. Things happen for a reason.
Yes, they did.
I was just gonna say nice meeting you, that's all.
Ramsey, what's going on now?
Yeah.
Man, say the girl.
You do real. I will.
Man, say the girls. How you doing, man?
If you keep doing that, I'll have you sued and something. I'm going to pay a Puerto Rican to put it in your head. Get away
In
from
my
me.
head? Oh, well, damn, I don't want you to kill me.
I'm not. I said Puerto
Oh,
Rican.
you said a Puerto Rican. I don't want no Puerto Rican to kill me by no black man. You saved some Puerto Ricans. My bad.
I know that's nice to do.
Due to Charles Ramsey being so popular and recognizable, it had become pretty much impossible for him to find a normal blue-collar 9-to-5 job. You know, he had come from the service industry, used to serving tables and washing dishes, but these establishments were no longer willing to hire him because people would always come in and want to get an autograph, they'd want to shake his hand. It was like a disturbance to business, having Ramsey as one of your employees. He had, at the same time, he also had issues finding jobs by leveraging his celebrity. Like, he couldn't get spokesman deals, he couldn't get branding deals, just because partly of his off-color personality. He was very non-politically correct and would say something in an interview that could put a company at risk. So he was in this weird limbo state where, like, he couldn't find a normal job, but he couldn't find a job that used his celebrity. So financially, he was in a pretty bad rut. Being unemployed for a couple of years, Ramsey finally decided on something that would monetarily be the right choice for him. Basically escaping that middle ground limbo between celebrity and being a normal person. How did he do it? He got someone to write a book for him. Now this book is called Dead Giveaway: The Rescue, Hamburgers, White Folks, and Instant Celebrity. What you saw on television doesn't begin to tell the story. This book is basically an in-depth look at the whole scenario, a little background on Charles Ramsey's life. It's available on Amazon. It's got like 4 out of 5 stars. Unfortunately, I'm unable to find the sales data on this book, but apparently it was good enough for Ramsey to basically just sit on. Like, he hasn't had to hold a job since this book has been out, which in my eyes, that means it's selling pretty well. So after this book came out in 2014, Ramsey just lived off the proceeds on that. He disappeared for a few years after releasing the book, only making a few public appearances here and there.
Fuck that alone. Fuck rulers, relatives. I stayed away from this shit where you niggas will be fuck with the boys. Nigga, around here.
But we got cool with him though, you know that, right? We ended up becoming
I don't know, Snoop,
cool.
because the nigga was supposed to do the right thing. Let me tell you something.
But it seems like Ramsey is completely content with staying out of the spotlight, saying it causes more trouble than it's worth. The most recent Charles Ramsey appearance was earlier this year in 2018. The interviewer that originally interviewed Ramsey back in May 6th of 2013 actually got with Charles Ramsey to do a follow-up interview about how his life has been, asked him a little bit about the 3 girls, and just some, follow up on his life. And it seems like he's living pretty comfortably in this nice neighborhood.
We made America smile again.
Charles was immediately the toast of the town, living in his words, the rock star life, but in recent years followed advice and sought a different pace.
So that's what I've been doing. Staying out the way. No Facebook, no Instagram, no Twitter. I've alienated myself from
We haven't talked in 3 years.
Oh yeah. I've divided myself
He hasn't seen Michelle, Amanda, or Gina in recent years, but part of him would like to.
I thought about it 5 years, like, why don't we have lunch? Why we had dinner? See, the world looking for these girls to say, give me a thank you or something. I don't need that. I'm a human. They helped out a human. I don't need that. But what I would like to see is your pupils. I like to see you don't have any cuts and bruises on your ears and whatnot. Nobody's mistreating you.
You still feel protective towards them.
I'm a man. God gave me testicles for a reason.
So the story of Charles Ramsey to me is fascinating in that it shows how someone can be famous for doing a good deed, right? The normal response, you do a good action, you get praise from it. But then it's doubled into this weird concoction where not only do you get famous from doing a good deed, you become a meme at the same time, and it just snowballs your impact and popularity like tenfold. It's like having celebrity just fall in your lap, and it shows how a normal person handles that stress and handles that burden when it's given to them overnight, and they just have to cope with it. And it's not a fairy tale story here with Charles Ramsey. It seems like he never really was able to capitalize on the success given to him from the Dead Giveaway song. Like, he wasn't prepared for it, and he's just tried to cope with what was given to him in the only way he can, and that's just being a humble dude living in a world where everyone knows who you are, and it just happened just like that. But what do you guys think about this story? Do you guys remember when the Dead Giveaway song came out? Do you guys remember hearing about this insane news story, the rescue of the 3 girls, the miracle in Cleveland? This was one of my favorite fucking songs that schmoyoho made next to the Gingers Do Have Soul song. But yeah, shout out to schmoyoho. They're often a very undercredited part of YouTube history and internet history in general. So who would you guys like to see a Whatever Happened To video next? Who do you want it to be on? Wavy Web Surf out. I'll see y'all on the next one. And make sure you guys check out my partners at shirts.cool. They've got all kinds of great designs. Great end of summer shit. They've got plenty of sales on there. If you're an internet enthusiast, this is the place you need to go for your merch. Click the affiliate link in the description box for 10% off and tell them your boy Wavy sent you. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at @thewavywebsurf and join the Discord. We're having some great conversations in there. And if you want to be super homie, donate to me on Patreon. Peace.